Thank you, Bung Adrian, for having me here. According to World Economic Forum, that in 2023, artificial intelligence still in the top of the priority, the top of variable that changing the landscape of economic in the world. And also, if we aware of the smart society 5.0, people thinking about the quality of life. So AI really applied to our daily life to increase the quality of life. One of the example, the race of the most modern autonomous vehicle using AI is heating up, with the several contenders pushing the boundary of the technology and design. Yeah, one of the considered as one of the front runners currently. One of the example for this is the Waymo One, the most modern autonomous vehicle using AI. What is the features that they have? The first one, considered as the self-driving taxi service in Arizona, actually, in Phoenix, and they use the most modern driver AI system for mapping the area, and in the same time, they're using also a lot of modern sensors. They call it as the sensor switch, for example, like LiDAR, radar, camera, and also the ultrasonic sensors. The 3 or 4 modern sensor, the modern switch sensor, they can provide the 360-degree view of the surrounding. And the third features they consider as the strongest features, as the fundamental features for the self-driving taxi service. They call it as the powerful AI algorithm. So this is way more proprietary. This type of software can running in the real-time process and then making critical driver decision. Like for example, changing the line if some other object suddenly they come directly to the certain area. And when we're talking about the AI, Bung Adrian, this not only to increase the life also, but also we can see from different fields. For example, the field of education, and in the field of health, in the field of food security, and also in the field of the bureaucracy reform. So I'm going to talk briefly in these 4 area here. So the first one about the education field. In the world, a lot of people concentrate about the collaborative learning. So what happened here, as you can see in our picture here, we have access grid. So what happened with the access grid? One lecturer, they can talk with couple students, and then they can see 24 screen online directly, and artificial intelligence working in the back to select what is the most important thing during the collaboration studies there. And also among the 24, they can talk each other, they can share the latest development in their lab, for example, and they can do it seamlessly. And if we can see from the field of health, for example, nowadays we can digitize our brain, for example, or our heart. So you can see also from this picture, a couple doctors from 2 different countries, one in US, the other one in Europe, for example, they're sharing the image of the heart. The expert, for example, is not in US but in Europe, so then they can see the object seamlessly during the operation, for example, and then they can give the best alternative to do the operation at that time. And down there, the picture about the image of the brain, they can select some certain slice using AI, which slice is the best picture when they want to identify some neuron inside of the brain. And also in the next picture, we can see also the field of food security. So this is very important because in the near future, when the temperature of the world, they change, for example, for 1 until 3 degrees Celsius, for example, then changing the landscape of the world. So then we need to concentrate with the food security here. So the AI technology can improve the availability of the food in the world, especially for the country with the huge number of the population like China or even India. So we can see how the agriculture, for example, they are working with couple AI. They are putting some AI algorithm to spread out the fertilizer, for example, using drone like in this picture, and also they can predict also precisely when the harvest can come. And the last one, when we're talking about the field of bureaucratic reform, we can go to the chatbot, for example, the latest technology that we can see from the chatbot. People now concentrate to use the most intelligent large language model currently. Why chatbot? That's simple, because the chatbot, everything will be very fast, very quick, and when the question come in from the certain customer, certain audience, certain society, for example, and the answer can be directly goes to the user directly. All right. So nowadays, people using ChatGPT, for example, using the OpenAI model in the back of the chatbot. But as everybody knows, just a couple days ago, 3 days ago, the Bard Gemini from Google, they're going to changing the landscape of the language model in the area of natural languages. Yeah, so I think everybody very soon will move to the kind of area, including in using the modern of the chatbot. Now let's go to the second question from Bung Adrian in relation to the quantum computing. So a lot of people ask, what is quantum computing actually? So quantum computing, considered as the multidisciplinary field that comprising a couple aspects, including the most important thing here actually is the computer science, of course, and then physics and math. And how the quantum computing work? They utilize the quantum mechanics, to solve the complex problem. So basically, quantum computing not working in 0 and 1 only, but they working in one we call as the cubic. And so you're going to have like 0 and 1 still the same with the previous one, but in this area, it can be changing some certain angle, and they can running also in the same times also. So maybe the question is, what is the difference between the classical computing and the quantum computing itself, as the introduction, everyone. So number one is in terms of the computing unit. So they can calculate, for example, 1 by 1, but in this case using quantum computing, because they use the qubits, and then this will be represent of 0 and 1 in the different angle. They can running it together and so on. All right, and then the computing capacity, and they can handle also the error rate quite nicely, and also they can adapt to the certain computation environment, and also the suitability, for the routing processing, whereas in the quantum computing they can do suitability in terms of the complex processing. So as you can see from this picture, this is the theoretical foundation. They start from quite long time ago, actually in 19th century, and then now they already grow until today's time. As you can see from this picture, this is as a proof of the quantum computing. Fraunhofer Research, sponsored by IBM in Germany, they managed to develop high performance computing and robust quantum technology. So as you can see from the picture, they're using the qubits. What happened in Indonesia? So in Indonesia, very soon, in couple months time, we are going to have the quantum computing also, with only 2 qubits as the learning environment. Why we need the quantum computing? you can imagine, for example, if there is some big or complex problem like travel and salesman problem and NP complete and some other complex algorithm. Usually people need a lot of time to get the result. So in quantum computing, if we do using the current cloud computing, for example, to solve that kind of problem, we need like 78 years. But using quantum computing, the prediction we can do it only in 6 minutes time. So what happened quantum computing in quantum effort worldwide? So we can see, for example, in Asia, so 2 countries already have the big quantum computing facility. So the first one is Philippines, and then the second one is Singapore. So then I think this is also, I think, the good time in 2024 here for our country Indonesia to start to put some big investment to develop the facility of the quantum computing, and at the same times also to prepare the task force, and maybe I can say also as the strike force to leaps directly to the certain area in the quantum computing. So in relation to the question from Bung Adrian for what will be the estimation for the use of AI and quantum computing in the outer space. So as we know, we have also some quantum leaps. China, for example, they have some certain satellite they launched in August 2016. Last time they already introduced a couple technology using quantum computing in the early stage, and then the distance from the surface of the Earth to that quantum satellite around 1200 kilometers, and considered as the spooky action, according to, if we refer to Albert Einstein at that time. So then they have like 3 or 4 important features here. Number one is something what they call by spooky action, and then the second one is the quantum key distribution, and then they also prepare to have the something what they call by quantum teleportation. So they prepare some certain small proton from the sky, and then they're sending directly to the Earth. All right. So they also considered as one of the advanced technology. So we also sometimes call it in the quantum computing community as the quantum leaps. So in relation to the question from Bung Adrian about the what is the new threat for the near future. So as usual, if we're talking about new threat, we're going to see from 2 angles. The first one is came from the military threat, and the other one is non-military threat. So I'm going to see from the perspective of the new threat in the near future between 2024 until 2030s. So from the military threat, the first one I consider as when we use the AI and quantum computing and then put it in the outer space there. Outer space mean we have, according to the theory, when we're talking about we have two things basically in the space. Number one is, we call it as the airspace between 0 until 100 kilometers. The other one is above 100 kilometers. We call it as the outer space. But sometimes in some other theory, above 50 kilometers, they also consider as the outer space. So what is the military threat in this context? So the first one is using AI and using quantum computing in outer space, we can enhance the military capability. All right, AI can be used to analyze the vast amount of data from up there, bring it to down there using the satellite and other sensor, and can enable more precise target. So we can see from the satellite more precise the target. And also the new weapon development from the sky, and that's also become problem because means the what you call it, the potential design and autonomous weapon system like space faring drone or the laser turret in the computing might pave the way of entirely new weaponry. All right. So the third threat, I call it as the increased risk of conflict. Why is that? Because the presence of the powerful AI-controlled weapon and the potential for surprise attack. This is surprise attack. Suddenly the attack come in. They can use the quantum cryptography, for example, could heightening the tension and make the accidental and intentional conflict more likely in the world, in the global area. So the new threat that not only the nuclear weapon, but also the quantum computing weapon from the outer space. Now the next one is about the threat that can come from the non-military threat. The first one is they can be happen from the infrastructure disruption, Bung Adrian. Some malicious AI could hack into and disable critical space infrastructure. So we have the critical infrastructure in the space, and by using the quantum computing and AI, they can disrupt the infrastructure there. So what is the impact? The impact can be the communication satellite, navigation system down there in the earth. They can be, then if you have some aircraft flying in 60,000 feet, around 18.2 kilometers, for example, there also some possible to have some collision, which is quite dangerous if some terrorist people, for example, utilize that kind of technology. The second one is in the area of the communication. So we call it as the communication disruption. So quantum computer could potential break the current encryption method. Usually people, when they use the asymmetric key, for example, using RSA algorithm or using ACC algorithm, for example, usually people need a long time, especially when they prepare a hard cryptography approach using, for example, 100 digit of a prime number. So they need more than 100 years, for example, to break it. But using quantum computing, they need only couple seconds only, they got the result directly. So this is also the feature of the quantum computing. Two things, Number one is reduce the time. Number two is in terms of the precision when they got the result. So again, the communication can be disrupted because of that. Because the current encryption can be easily for them to break. So this could disrupt the scientific research that we have in the world, the financial transaction, and also even the military operation. The third one, when we're talking about the threat again, because of the AI and quantum computing in the outer space for the humanity, for the non-military threat, we can see the environment damage. So because of the AI power, using robot, for example, and using the quantum computing there, the robot will be flying up there in the outer space. They can give the bad impact, which is the unsustainable resources extraction. Okay, so for example, they can accidentally hit each other. They can release the new pollutant in the space, and some space mission also can be break. Then also they could harm the delicate environment of the celestial body outside there. I think, Bu Adrian, that's all from my side in relation to the new threat in applying the AI and quantum computing to outer space, especially to the area of the humanity here.